I will challenge all of you who are listening to this to go do something tomorrow and experience it without your phone. Don't text anybody. Don't take any photos. Just experience it. Feel what you're feeling. Connect with the people you are with and see how that shifts and changes your experience. Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette Deleu. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast. Soul Discovery Workshop is rapidly approaching for our next session. Registration will be opening on June 12th, 2025. For those of you who have already signed up for the wait list, you will be able to register 1 full week ahead of time. This time registration will be open for 4 weeks, and I will be also offering those who join Soul Discovery Workshop for this next course will get a discount on one-on-one sessions with me. So once again, registration is opening June 12th and will be closing on July 10th. You can pay in full. You can also pay in 4 increments. Classes will be starting mid-August. We haven't chosen a date yet because I'm going to wait to see who registers, and we're going to decide on a date together what works best for everyone's schedule. I cannot wait to connect with all of you, to help you with your spiritual gifts and teach you how to access the Akashic Records and form these beautiful bonds as you will with all of the rest of the people in the course. So make sure you head to my website on June 12th to register for Soul Discovery Workshop. Tricia came to me to discuss her soul purpose and life purpose. What we discovered is that her soul's job, if you will, is to be a witness to everything in this world, the good and the bad, the horrible and the beautiful, to appreciate every single moment for what it is and for what it gives us. And then for the discussion, I talk a little bit about my own experience in how the observation of things, the witnessing of things, and the appreciation of everything that we experience, how it has shifted and changed my life. Okay, so tell me, what would you like to cover today?
Sorry, I'm just feeling emotional. I have some emotions right now.
It's okay.
So I wrote down questions. I would like to know my soul's origin, my soul's purpose, my life purpose. Why did I incarnate in this lifetime and this time? And my life purpose in this lifetime. Fear. I have a lot of fear, like low-grade fear most of the time. I'd like to find out more about that. What can I do about that? And basically, I just want to ask, what is most beneficial for me to know at this time? How can I contribute to the new, beautiful light energies that are emerging on the earth at this time? I am going on the Camino de Santiago on Friday. I leave in less than a week.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I suddenly felt very called to do that. And so I just want to know why, like, what is that about?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to ask about Lemuria. I feel like I've lived on Lemuria.
Okay, great. And just know that the emotion is pretty common and very typical of these sessions because there's a lot of energy that we're moving around in these sessions, even prior to them even beginning. So when did the heightened emotion start for you?
I guess just before.
Yeah.
We came on.
Yeah.
They came out when we connected.
Basically, the work that we do in these sessions is quantum. So it is happening now, but it also has already happened. Because of this, it creates this emotion in our physical bodies because we already know what's happening and what is going to happen. And this is that emotional and intuitive knowing. Okay. Don't worry. It's something that is very normal for this type of session. When the emotions come, just let them come. Okay. So don't feel like you have to suppress them or you have to compose yourself. Just let it flow if it needs to flow. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. The first thing I'm seeing in the root chakra is actually, in fact, you are quite stable at the moment in your root chakra. I'm not seeing any past life issues here. However, what they are showing me is that in the past, you have had a very shaky root chakra. Okay. So, meaning that your feelings of safety and security, feelings of safety in home, feelings of safety within yourself have been not prevalent throughout the course of your soul's journey. And they're saying this because this is something that you are meant to work on as a soul. And we'll get more into this in your soul's purpose. You have worked on it already.
Yeah.
And so now it's about getting used to the feelings of safety and security. So it's almost as if like you're so used to not being safe and secure that that is your sort of default setting. Even though now you have that safety and security and it is solid and your root chakra is really grounded and beautiful, you're so used to it not being that's where a lot of these worries and fears are coming in.
That makes sense. That feels very true.
Mm-hmm. So oftentimes what this ends up being is an opportunity to reprogram. So if you can imagine your train going down a particular track and the junction comes up and you've switched tracks and you're on a different timeline now, you're on a different track and this is a better one, but you're still operating from the standpoint of the first track.
Okay.
And that's exactly what is happening at the moment for you. And so what needs to happen is you just need to get used to the new track.
Okay.
Oftentimes this is created by time and trust, knowing that you are safe, that you are protected, that you are in this beautiful root chakra energy now, that you don't have to worry anymore. Sometimes it is about the outside proof that you get on a day-to-day basis, and that just sort of builds up over time. They're saying be kind to yourself regarding this because it is something that will improve over time.
Okay.
And it is something that they're saying it's almost like a hangover. Okay. It's like a hangover from the old energy and it's still just trying to dissipate.
Okay.
Yeah. Your sacral chakra looks great. I'm seeing like bursts of like fireworks and flowers and all kinds of things coming out of it because this is your creativity. This is your divine feminine and your sacred feminine energy. And there's just all kinds of beautiful energy coming out of that chakra right now. I'm hearing like you are on fire with ideas and creativity and some of the things that you want to accomplish in life and some of the things you want to do. But there's a lack in direction. Okay, got it. So there's that's part of the reason why they were showing it to me as fireworks is because sometimes this energy can be really beautiful and explosive, but then if it has no direction, it has nowhere to land. So it just kind of goes off into the ethers and then doesn't ground in the 3D. So they're going to show you a little bit about what you can do to help ground that energy.
Okay.
Not all energy needs to be grounded. So sometimes some of these beautiful creative ideas that we have and some of these beautiful creative energies we have just can be what they are. They can just be a creative energy that propels us forward as opposed to having to do anything with it. The idea is to be creative just for the sake of being creative as opposed to having a purpose in that. And they're showing me a particular time frame in my life where they were guiding me to take a jewelry making class, like metalsmithing, because I love doing that. And it's something I did in college. And I went and took the class. And of course, I'm sitting here going, okay, is this what I'm meant to do? Is this what I'm supposed to do for a living? Do I need to sell this jewelry? Like, what do I need to do? And they're like,
Yeah.
no, just, just create, just have fun and create. Like, this doesn't have to be a job. And I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So it's that kind of energy of like, sometimes it's okay just to create something and not have, the masses see it or not have anybody experience it. It's just for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that from a past life? It is. Yeah. It's an interesting way of showing it to me. Why are you showing it to me that way? There are ways in which energy intersects or affects a particular chakra. And the reason why this energy is being shown to you the way that it is the way that the energy came in for her in this previous lifetime. Okay. So the way that they're showing it to me is like, if you imagine the chakra as beautiful, bright, yellow, round, bright on all sides, and then imagine a black, it almost looks like a very large piece of tourmaline or like a big black stone, like kind of going through the center of it. And so the reason why they showed it to me that way is because because it's black, it just indicates a past life. But they're saying that the reason why it's there is because it is something that's sort of lodged there. It's like an object that's lodged there as opposed to an energy that has been created within you. So this indicates to me that this is something that somebody put there rather than something that you have created. Okay. So then we'll address that past life so we can remove that from your solar plexus chakra. Because other than that, the solar plexus chakra looks beautiful. And so this might feel a little bit like having lack of self-confidence or self-worth for absolutely no reason.
Yep.
So oftentimes we can trace back our self-worth issues or our self-confidence challenges. You can't trace this back. You don't know where it's coming from. And it's because it's coming from this past life and this other source. So like, it's not like you can trace back into your childhood and say, oh yeah, that's the reason why I feel this way. Or that's the reason why I feel this way because of this particular situation that happened. Like most of the time you can do that, but that's not the case for you. Yeah. So once we get into that past life, we'll be able to clear that for you and you won't be able to connect to that energy anymore and it will completely dissipate.
Thank you.
All right, so then let's move that energy up to the heart chakra. I'm hearing you're in a place of mourning. Okay, so what is this in regards to? She doesn't have the words to describe what it is exactly that she's mourning. Okay, it is from this and other lifetimes. Okay. All right, so I'm seeing you not only mourn every person or every being you've come across throughout the course of your soul's history, but also the mourning of yourself, who you used to be, all of the things and all of the people you used to be. You cherish every single experience, every single moment. I'm seeing you sort of take a moment and almost cup it in your hands as if it's precious. And each moment and experience you have, you see the genuine love and expansion in each moment. And when that moment passes, or when that person passes, or when a different version of you passes, you mourn the leaving of that moment, person, energy.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the term anticipatory grief?
Yes.
It's like grieving before something even happens. As it's like a way of for me, it feels like a way of processing. For example, my cat won't be here forever, or whatever we have now won't be here forever. It feels like that.
Yeah.
So I try to enjoy and appreciate everything.
Yeah. And the interesting thing that I'm seeing too is that it's not that you are holding on too tightly either. Because oftentimes when people are having that anticipatory grief, it's like they want to hold on tighter to whatever it is they have.
Yeah, nope.
But you don't have that problem. No. It's more of just being able to savor every moment that you have. And it's a really beautiful place to be in. There is an element of the anticipatory grief that is necessary at times. So when you speak about a death of a pet, for example, that is something that we can be prepared for as much as we possibly can. In fact, that if we know, let's say a pet is, 16, 17 years old as a cat. Okay, you know that they're not going to be around for much longer. Maybe they have a year or 2 years, but regardless of whether the time frame, like you can start to prepare yourself for the fact that this pet is going to leave. And knowing this can help you with the grieving process. The grieving process doesn't just start when that soul crosses over. It starts way before and it continues after. And so having the anticipatory grief can be helpful at times. Where it becomes unhelpful is if it starts to color the time that you have with that being or with that person. If the moment becomes sad because you are anticipating, that is where the problem comes in. Okay. So they're going to show us some techniques that you can do in order to honor that grief, express that grief, but then also have the joy in the moment that you currently have. So some of the grief that you're feeling is keeping you in lower energies. You're getting messages through your crown chakra. Your crown chakra is wide open, but there are times when you are so deep into the grief that you can't hear the messages and you can't interpret them. So it's just about a little bit of an elevation of your energy that is going to help connect you to those messages.
So just a question, is this the grief like earlier you spoke about, I don't even have words?
Yes.
Like there's all this. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, your third eye is pretty open as well. You do seem to follow your intuition quite well, even sometimes when you don't realize that you're doing it.
Okay.
There are times when you question and you're asking, what do I do next? Why is this happening? What's going on? And it's almost like you get nothing and you're like, why am I not getting any information? And they're saying to me that it's because when you're in that worry type energy, when you're in that anxious energy, it makes it harder to hear. So it's not that your guides are gone. They just are trying to talk to you on a different frequency. And so it's a matter of changing your frequency in order to be able to hear them.
Will they give me information how to do that?
I can help you with that right now. In terms of when you are in that worry energy, it's just a matter of taking a pause. So if you're in the worry energy, sometimes what I like to do is write down in a notebook all of the things that I'm worried about. So I'm worried that I'm not making the right decision, or I'm worried that I shouldn't go forward with this, or I'm worried that this and this and that. So write down all the worries onto a piece of paper. And if you want to like ritualistically burn it, if you want to, you can soak it in water. You can do all kinds of things if you want to do any sort of ritual, but you don't have to. You can just write it down. And then getting it out of your energy field can be just enough to shift your energy to be able to listen and hear. Then what you can do is you can ask your angels and guides to give you a sign. So I will often ask to give me a sign of X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, whatever symbol you want, whatever sign you want, angel numbers, whatever it is you want. Say, okay, if I'm meant to have this experience, please give me this sign. The other thing you can also do is trust, which that's a little bit harder. It's a little harder, where you just trust that the next step you take is going to be the right one. And so you can ask your angels and guides to guide you to the next best right step.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, I can do that.
Perfect. So I'm seeing your throat chakra, like it's almost as if you're singing, and then you're singing beautifully, and then you're coughing, like it's like you're choking on the notes almost. And then it passes, and then you're singing again. So there's just sort of like this interruption with your throat chakra. They're saying it has to do with this lifetime. It has to do with self-confidence in your words, in the way that you speak, which inherently is slightly tied to the issue in the solar plexus chakra that we have going on.
Okay.
That is something that will also help it. Also, it has to do with the mind. So when you think about song, when we sing, we are out of the mind. We are in our beautiful divine nature as we sing. And then the second you go into the mind and you start second guessing, it can interrupt those beautiful flowing notes. And that is also what is happening for you. And they're using the metaphor of singing. It doesn't have to be singing. It can be speaking. It could be conversation, communication in any way. Okay. I want to thank Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for guiding us through the records today. Today we are opening up the Akashic records. Okay, so of all the questions that she outlined in the beginning of the session, in addition to what we learned in the chakra scan, where do we need to go first, please? Solar plexus chakra. Okay, that's what I thought. Let's take a look at that past life, please. This lifetime was 3 lifetimes ago. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, this was something that was not meant to happen in your trajectory. That's why it's sort of like this thing that's in the middle of everything that just doesn't belong. This was an experience that you had 3 lifetimes ago that was not meant to happen. It was not written in your soul contracts. It was was not written in your soul plan.
Okay.
Okay, can we see what happened, please? She was incarnated as a woman in this lifetime. She was no more than 16 years old. She came across a particular man who was not meant to cross her path. He was somebody who was in the town that she lived in, the village she lived in. He had lived there her whole life, and she knew who he was. There were times when she would greet him in the street, and he was always very kind to her. And something shifted around the time that she was 16. Something had happened to him. I'm not seeing the details, but what they're showing me is that he had some sort of sexual trauma happen to him from another man,
Mm-hmm.
and it completely changed and shifted his energy. He felt out of control.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like he didn't have control over his own life or his own body, and it created this darkness in him. You saw it. You saw the darkness. Like the next time you saw him, you saw the shift in his energy field, even though you didn't necessarily know that that's what it was at the time. But you saw the shift in him and in the way that he carried himself. And he wasn't defeated. It wasn't a feeling of victimization. It was rage. It was anger. It was wanting to take his power and assert it on others. So there's something that happened here where you're having a conversation with him and he's trying to tell you what you can and cannot do. And he's almost like pointing at your chest. Okay. You're a bit naive in this particular lifetime in the sense that you're still young. You haven't married yet. And at 16, you're getting to the age in which you will be getting married at some point within the next couple of years. And it's like the things that he said to you completely like shattered your world. Like you didn't know that that kind of cruelty and energy could even exist.
Okay.
And so it's almost as if he placed his anger and rage upon you energetically.
Okay.
And you took it. And you were, not only did you take it, but you were like, oh, I didn't realize things like this were possible in life, in this world. Like now it was almost creating this, okay, this is where some of the fears are coming in too, because it's like this idea that there are things in this world that you cannot even conceive of, that you haven't even thought of, that are happening. And you can't believe that they actually happen because you've never heard of them. You've never experienced them, but like other people could be experiencing these things. And it almost crushed you.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the words this man said to you, even though it wasn't an admission of what had happened to him, you felt every bit of what happened to him.
Okay.
And this goes back to what we were talking about in the chakra system when I was saying that you feel every moment. This is part of who you are as a soul. We will get more into this as well with the soul purpose, but one of the things that you are really adept at is truly feeling in all ways what somebody is going through, having that empathy. And your challenge has been over time to not take that on yourself, but to see it, know it, and experience it and have empathy for it, but not feel like you have to take it on yourself. So I'm going to ask for Saint Germain with his violet flame, as well as Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael, to surround you now and remove this energy from this previous experience 3 lifetimes ago from this man. I want you to set the intention that you are releasing this energy and returning it back to this man, as you no longer need to hold on to this energy that is his. This was an experience of his disempowerment, not yours, and you did not need to take this on for him. It is complete. Okay. So I'm going to ask for Saint Germain to clear out any energies that do not belong to you, any energies that belong to this man, any residual energies that are in your solar plexus chakra, any residual energies that are anywhere in your energy field that has to do with this particular experience. And it is complete.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so then the next thing I'm seeing is that we do want to go to soul purpose and soul origin. Okay, so what do we need to see for soul purpose? How many lifetimes? Just one. Okay. This is the origin of where you came to Earth. Not your soul's origin necessarily, but the inception of your soul here on Earth.
Okay.
And it's such an interesting thing because they keep on showing you to me cupping something in your hands. So whether it's a flower, whether it's a pet, whether it's a mouse or a person, you're creating a space for appreciation. You're creating a space for everything to slow down and stop in order for it to be appreciated and acknowledged. I'm seeing you almost look up to the wind, and as the wind blows, you're waving at it and saying hi and acknowledging it. You are a witness and you are a holder of space. Right. And so, because of that, you are not meant to hold on to anything. You are meant to create the space for whatever it is that needs the space, create the space and ability for appreciation and acknowledgement and witnessing and allowing things to continue to flow.
Okay.
So if you imagine the flow of the universe is always in motion, it's always moving forward or backwards or in various different places. And it's all beautiful, whatever is happening. And you are here to witness it, to experience it, and to acknowledge it.
Okay.
They're showing, it's cute. They're showing me an analogy of, the age old question of, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody is there to hear it, does it actually make a sound?
Yeah.
And the answer to that question is absolutely, because you and souls like you are always there to have that experience. So regardless of how distant, regardless of how remote, there is always a soul energy to witness and experience. Whether that soul energy is here on the planet or on the other side, it doesn't matter. It's still a witnessing. With this ability comes a recording of sorts. So when you get to the other side after you have an incarnation, you will record the experiences and the things that you've witnessed without judgment, just as a means to record the energy. Because oftentimes people experience things without actually experiencing them, if that makes sense.
Yes.
The best analogy I can use is people using their phones to experience things through their camera, taking photos of everything, taking videos of everything.
Yes.
Are they actually experiencing the thing that is happening in front of them? No.
Yeah. I never take photos and I forget. And after I think, oh, I don't have a single photo of that. It's kind of a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not surprising that you don't, because you are so fully immersed in the experience that the taking of photos or the recording of it in that moment actually changes the experience of it.
Yes.
Okay. And they're also showing me that you are also leading the way in this way, because when we are taking photos, taking videos, not paying attention, checking out, daydreaming while somebody is talking to us, all of those things, those are all means of disconnection. Not only is it a means of disconnection, but it also is a way of not having to let go.
Okay.
So these are the things that you're trying to help people understand and see.
Okay.
So, it's interesting. I had an experience just last week. I was in the Netherlands and I was seeing all the tulips, and every single tulip was so beautiful. And I was like, I just want to take you home. Like I want to have these tulips with me all the time, and leaving them would make me sad. And so of course I took a gazillion photos, right? But the experience that I had was one of grief and sadness of not being able to take that beauty with me. The lesson that I learned from that, and the message that I gotten from my guides, was instead of grieving that loss, you appreciate the beauty that you had when you had it in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that taking photos is bad, because now I can look back on those photos at times and say, I can appreciate that beauty again.
Yes.
As long as you are taking the time to have the experience. And these are things that you teach people, and you do it without even realizing that you're doing it. What do you do for a living, out of curiosity?
I work at a research greenhouse.
Okay.
So mostly with fruits and vegetables, mostly. Yeah.
Perfect.
I do basic admin stuff. I've moved around. I've 2 years ago ended up in this small town. So actually I'm curious why I ended up here too. I came from a more progressive city where I felt like I had a lot of very, very rich experience all the time. And now I'm here and I'm searching for experiences here. It's very difficult. It's a super tiny town and there's not much happening. So I'm getting very little sort of stimulation. There's very little beauty here. So yeah, that was, if we had time at the end, that was another question. There's a group of women, and I feel like there's something with that group of women. We're doing something.
Yeah, they are saying we're going to pause on that for a moment. That is going to sort of go a little bit more into your trajectory right now and
Okay.
your growth. They want to sort of finish up the soul purpose as well.
I do HR stuff where I work as well. And I feel like I stand up for the less obviously advantaged people at work. I hear every voice, even the quiet ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're giving them a space and a voice. And again, the witness. You're being the witness to them. Yeah. What I'm hearing is there are a ridiculous amount of people on this planet who are screaming and want to be heard and feel like they are not heard. And you are the person who is saying, I hear you. Now, it's
Yes.
not necessarily your job to fix their problems or to help them fix their problems, but it
No.
is your job to say, I hear you.
Yes.
And sometimes that's enough for them to be able to feel like they can move forward. It's that disempowerment. Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay, so that's why in that previous lifetime with the solar plexus chakra issue, that's why
Yeah.
that happened, is because you were being a witness for him to be able to express his feelings of disempowerment that he had.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at that time, because it was so visceral, you ended up taking it on, which you don't do often, but there are times when it can happen.
Okay. It's something I have worked on in this life. I have worked on that and feel like I'm so much better.
Yeah, sometimes it is hard for you though, because you do want to help and you do want to solve the problem, but it is in fact not your job to solve the problem. Okay, so is there anything else about her soul purpose we need to know? No, that is it. Okay. Do we need to look at soul origin now? Yes. Okay. Oh, that's new and interesting. Cool. Okay. So, oftentimes, what I'll see is a soul family that have individualized from divine source energy. And each member of the soul family does something different, like each one has a different job, kind of thing. And for you, that's not the case. For you and all other witnesses and holders of space, it's like you are one soul family. So, in other words, all witnesses sort of come from the same place and you're all connected to each other.
Okay.
So that's really beautiful. Okay. Is there a particular place that they come from? We would like you to not necessarily use the term place because it is not necessarily a physical place that they come from, rather, a part of divine source energy that is an energetic match to the type of energy that they are. If you can imagine the different quadrants of a particular object where you would have an energy of truthfulness, or you would have the energy of unconditional love, or the energy of manifestation. The energy that her soul comes from is the energy of the witness, the observer, because something cannot exist without the observing of it. It is essentially divine source energy witnessing itself. You are the eyes, so to speak, of divine source energy. So all of the souls that are witnesses on this and every other planet, because they are necessary on every single planet and every single galaxy, every single star. It is necessary. And so all of the souls of your same frequency may come from different physical places, but you come from the same energetic place. It's not to say there aren't souls out there that also witness. Annette has had the experience where one of her lifetimes was simply witnessing a star. But that was a choice that she had made for that particular incarnation. And often souls will do that. For you, your soul doesn't necessarily have a choice in how your energy shows up, because it is the inherent nature of your soul's energy to be the witness, to be the observer. When you hold that space for something to exist, it is as if you are creating the container for water to form. Whereas if there was no container for the water would eventually spread out, dissipate, and evaporate and turn into something else. Is there anything else you want to share with us about her soul origin? No, that is it. Okay. I'm going to pause right there. Do you have any questions about your soul origin or your soul purpose?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So then we're going to go into life purpose. Can I ask you what brought you to the town that you're in right now?
A romantic relationship.
Okay.
It was done, it ended about 6 months later, and that was totally okay. It's actually
Okay.
where I'm originally from.
So this is where you grew up?
It is, yeah. And
Yeah.
left for 30 years. I left and ended up back.
Do you still have family there?
I do. I have a difficult relationship with the mother.
Yeah. You do better when you're in person with people.
Yes.
I'm not saying that you had to come back here,
Okay.
but it is more beneficial that you did. And the reason why is because there is work that you need to do surrounding your mom. There
Okay.
is work that you need to do for other people in the town.
Okay.
It's not going to be a long-term thing though. It's
Yay. Thank you.
yeah. How long have you been there now?
2 years now. And
Okay.
is there something with this group of women? I've connected with this very spiritual, beautiful group of women. One of them has actually seen you recently.
Mm.
And we get together every Sunday morning, and I can feel this vortex of energy that we create when we get together.
Yeah. So there's multiple reasons why you had to come back there. But part of the reason is because wherever that is a place where the witnessing of a shift in energy was necessary.
Okay.
So there's a reason why all of you women are there now
Mm-hmm.
and why you're doing the things that you're doing energetically. And when that job is complete and when the work that you've done with your mother is, I'm not going to say complete, but is to a level that is manageable, that is when you are going to leave.
Okay.
I'm seeing a maximum of 2 years. It could be sooner, but maximum of 2 years.
Is my trip on the Camino connected to any of that?
Mm.
Or is that something completely different, separate?
Your trip on the Camino is a gift. It is a gift specifically for you because you are in a place right now where you prefer not to be. And because you're in a place right now where you're getting fulfilled in certain ways, but not in others.
Yeah.
The Camino trip is going to not only expand your energy, but it is also going to allow you to cherish and revel every single moment that you're experiencing on the journey. Because, of course, there will be moments where it will be difficult,
Yes.
and you will cherish and hold space for those moments as well. I'm also hearing you're going to be an inspiration for others on the Camino as well, because you are going to be doing exactly what you do as a soul, and it is going to inspire others to be able to do the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so there isn't really a, I don't want to say there isn't a purpose, but there isn't like a grand reason why you needed to do the Camino. I don't see that you're going to have to do a lot of heavy emotional or spiritual work or anything like that. It's just about this gift for you to be able to experience something new, to experience something fulfilling for you, to experience different people
Uh-huh. That sounds lovely.
and allow yourself to be filled in that way.
Okay. That sounds lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is her life purpose in this lifetime? Do we need to look at any previous lifetimes for context? We do not. Okay. Okay. So, witnesses as a soul, your life purpose in every lifetime is pretty much the same.
Okay.
It is just continuing your soul purpose, doing exactly what you're here to do. They're using the example of like a mission, like a missionary. Their job goes from place to place to place, but it's the same job everywhere they go.
Okay.
That's kind of the sort of energy that I'm feeling from you,
Okay.
is that although in this lifetime there are certain things you do have to work on. So in other words, you were meant to work on your solar plexus to get that energy out of there because of that lifetime 3 lifetimes ago. There's some cleanup work that you need to do based on just living a three-dimensional life. You have almost like little side quests that you need to do in each life purpose where okay, well, I've got to clean up from that particular lifetime, or I have to do this in that from that particular lifetime. I have to learn to hold space for difficult people, and I'm hearing your mother.
Okay.
There are certain things like that, but your main life purpose is actually very aligned with your soul purpose.
Okay.
And they're saying you know that, and you feel this. You've felt this for quite some time. You kind of know, which is why you haven't really felt super guided for any particular career.
Right. Yes, that's so true. Yes. I've done lots of different things.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what you're meant to do, is just kind of do what needs to be done in whatever time frame, in whatever energy or space.
Okay.
And you're adaptable in that way, so you can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you are meant to have X career or, something else that you're supposed to work towards, because that takes a much greater effort that you just don't need to put in that kind of effort.
Right. Okay. What about financial security? Like, I feel like I have not had great, I don't know, luck. It feels like I've always had to work hard and am not stable. Is that part
Mhm.
of the energy? Like the fear, the instability part of that is looking at my future and saying, I'm going to have to work till I'm 80 years old. So is there anything, any information about that or?
So they're showing me the root chakra and kind of what they were saying about how in the past you haven't had a whole lot of stability.
Yes.
That means in previous lifetimes as well.
Okay.
And mainly it's because of the general energy of a soul such as yours
Hmm.
is one that is autonomous in
Okay.
its own energy. So you don't require a whole lot of energy from other people.
Correct.
And likewise, people don't often require a lot of energy from you.
Okay.
It does happen on occasion, like it happened in this previous lifetime that we looked at, but for the most part, people understand and recognize who you are as a soul, and they don't ask too much of you. Because of this, you haven't really known how to harness the energy of abundance,
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
not something that has ever really come into play in your experience.
Hmm.
What I'm hearing is that it's almost as if you're provided for. Okay, how do I describe this? So, okay, let's say there's a line, okay, and the line is a
Hmm.
horizontal line, and just above
Okay.
the horizontal line is like financial stability and comfort.
Okay.
Below the line is
Hmm.
financial instability and discomfort.
Okay.
You have roughly been just kind of hovering just below that line. So it's
Right. Yeah.
like you have enough. You've always been relatively provided for, but not in a way that makes you feel comfortable.
Right. Very accurate. Yes.
What you just need to connect to is the abundance in your own energy field. Understand
Okay.
that you can have it and you deserve to have it regardless of what you do. You have a lot
Okay.
of old notions in your brain programming, let's say, that say if you don't have X, Y, and Z career, or if you don't have this, this, and this, you cannot have abundance.
Okay.
And that is untrue, because abundance comes in so many different ways. So, abundance can come in the way of gifts, it can come in the way
Okay.
of getting things from other people in terms of energetic exchange.
Right. Yeah.
It could be in so many other different ways rather than just money.
Okay.
And so, connecting to those things, because I do hear you get a lot of those.
That's true.
So, focus on those and focus on the gratitude for those,
Okay.
because the more you can amplify those things, the more abundance you're going to start to have. So be
Okay.
grateful for not only the money, the physical money, but then also be grateful for the non-monetary versions of abundance.
Right. Okay. I'm grateful to have had a lot of very rich life experiences. And that's really been my focus, not career. I live
Yeah.
simply
Yeah.
and enjoy experiences and opportunities. Mhm.
There is an element here too where you have seen as a soul
Mhm.
what the corruption of money can do to somebody's experience.
Yes.
And because everything that you are in your energy is about having a pure experience in something, that you don't want to ever have too much money where it distorts the experience that you are having.
Yeah.
But you
Hmm.
can understand that having that line and where you are in regards to that line
Uh-huh.
If you are just below the line right now, being
Yeah.
just above that line is not going to distort your experience. It's just going to make you a bit more comfy.
Absolutely. That would be perfect.
And there is nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. There's nothing wrong with that.
that would be
Yeah.
perfect. I'm in my 50s, so I'm just starting to get these pangs of concern about, as I age and retirement, etc.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are you in the US?
No, I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. Okay. I'm not sure what this means, but they're saying not to worry.
Okay.
Things are going to start looking differently.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Well, I mean, not only is it great, but it's like there's a lot of change that's going to be happening on a national scale, on a global scale. There's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
changes happening there, but then also there's going to be
Yeah.
changes happening for you. So like the
Okay.
combination of all of the things, like you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
The one thing that they do want you to work on though is just not limiting yourself to the amount of money you can make energetically. So opening yourself up to being more open to more abundance.
Just if you can say that in a different way, I sort of don't get that.
As opposed to focusing on the money that you don't have or focusing on the struggle that you have.
Okay.
Changing your focus or shifting your focus to that gratitude of the opportunities that you have or the gifts that you get or the energetic exchange or the money that you get, like any amount of money that you get, having gratitude for it and thanking the money for being in your life, like making it a friend of yours, that type of thing. What that does is that opens your energy up more to be able to receive more.
Okay. I can do that.
They want to talk about Lemuria.
Okay.
What was the message that you have for her about Lemuria? She feels incredibly connected to Lemuria because she did spend quite a bit of time there. It is the same place where she met the sisters that she's connecting to now. She has met them many times before in other lifetimes, but she connected with them most in Lemuria. Okay. You have a bit of nostalgia for what happened and what your life was like in Lemuria. Everything was very beautiful and connected. Your job was very easy there. You have a tendency to reminisce about the fact that you wish you could be back there.
Yes.
But there is a reason why these civilizations have fallen and exist no longer. Oftentimes, just the beauty and consistency of love is not enough to move forward. Lemuria was a place that had little contrast, and eventually the civilization as a whole ceased to grow. And when you are lacking in growth, there is a lack of purpose. There is a lack of moving forward. And that was part of what happened in the downfall of Lemuria.
Okay.
You did not experience this since your job is to hold space and be the witness. From your perspective, that was the ideal situation.
Yeah.
Understanding, though, that witnessing and experiencing beautiful things, aligned things, loving things are just as important as experiencing and witnessing the sadness, the grief, the shadow. And sometimes that is hard for you.
Yeah.
Because you do feel it all. Even if you are holding space and even if you are witnessing, you are still feeling it. Now, you could turn that off. You could decide to not feel those things anymore from other people or from other experiences, but you choose not to because you have seen other souls, such as yourself, turn off the ability to feel what they're experiencing. And you did not like the trajectory of that particular soul. You would rather feel and experience what you are holding space for because it actually makes you stronger as a soul and it allows you to have more empathy. You find some of the souls that have turned that piece off within them have a tendency to be a bit more cold and unable to see the nuance in the growth that happens. It is not a judgment, it is just a different path that they have taken. And you have preferred to take this path. They also want me to tell you that you're not going to lose the sisters you have now. Okay. So even when you do decide to leave, you will stay in contact. Okay. You have created a bond.
Okay. Do I have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Okay. A romantic relationship. Is there anybody in my future? I'm very quite happily single, but I just wondered if there is any connection.
They're saying it's your choice. So there isn't anyone that you're soul contracted for at this time.
Okay.
Which is actually a really nice thing, because if you don't have a soul contract with anyone, then you don't have to worry about, oh, is this the person that I'm going to meet? Or is this it is about when you meet somebody and you have that energetic connection and you feel that resonance within your souls together, then you can choose if you want to be in a romantic relationship with this person. Keeping yourself open if it's something that you desire.
Okay.
Like you said, if you're happily single.
No, I am true. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're happily single, then, you don't have to worry about necessarily calling in the person that you want to have come into your life and that sort of thing. But if you are open to it, then basically you just sort of leave it up to the universe and say, okay, you know what? I'm open to having a partner. And if my life is enhanced by this person's presence, then I'd be super happy to have this person in my life. And I will trust that that person will be sent to me in whatever form that it needs to come. Okay. Yeah. They're just saying, just go with the flow.
Okay.
So the one thing that we didn't get a chance to touch on, a couple of things that you had asked about, but I did want to ask really briefly about the underlying fears that you had. Where do those come from? Are they from exterior or interior? Are they energetic, or are they from outside sources?
I think they're just in me, from in me. It feels like that, like it was connected to that insecurity, or it's like a low level all the time, but it's like in me, it feels like.
Okay. So what I would like you to do is just write down, when you have those fears, just write it down. Say, okay, I'm having fear right now, and ask the fear, like, what it's doing there.
Okay.
And what it's fearful of and all of those things. And then just sort of keep a journal of it. And then, if and when we connect the next time, you can kind of tell me about how that evolved. If the clearing that we did today, if it seems to have subsided those fears, and we can kind of go from there. I am going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you so much to Akulame Akashic Guide. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for being here as well. Thank you to Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, and Saint Germain for helping with the clearing today. The records are closed. The records are closed. The records are closed. Thank you. Okay, how do you feel?
I feel good and excited.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, super.
All right, wonderful.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And it was so great to connect with you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, have a lovely day, Annette.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
I would like to thank Tricia for her participation in the podcast. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. I am an 80s child. Yes, I was born in the 70s, but I am pretty much Gen X through and through. All of those silly memes that come through on Instagram and social media, I resonate with a lot of those pretty deeply. So that gives you an idea of where I am coming from. This generation, Generation X, is such a unique generation for a lot of reasons. But the reason I want to talk about today is because we grew up without social media, without the internet, without phones, or I should say without smartphones. We did have phones, but they were the corded kind that were attached to a wall that you would drag into your bedroom to speak with a friend for hours on end as your mom is yelling at you from the kitchen. And life was different. We experienced things differently. And there are many memories that I have of going on trips where I had to budget in my travel budget for film and to get that film developed. Taking photos was a special occasion, if you will. It was something really cool that you wanted to take a photo of. You didn't take a photo of literally every last little moment in detail that you have experienced, as many people do today. And so I have a lot of those photos in my photo albums, and they're wonderful. They're great. Do I prefer the photos that I have on my phone? Certainly. They're much better quality. And if I would have taken these photos with a professional camera on these travels before having a smartphone, some of these photos would be pretty spectacular. And actually, some of you may not know this, I did minor in photography in college. So as I got a bit older in my travels, I did start to take professional photos with a really decent camera on my travels. The really interesting thing is that when you are taking 1 or 2 photos with a camera, it leaves you a whole lot of time to appreciate a moment. It might take a little longer to take a photo with a professional camera, as it really does, because you have to adjust all the settings and everything. But once the photo is taken, it allows you to just be in the moment, and it allows you to experience it. So many people now experience their life through a phone. And it makes me wonder, are you able to feel into these moments with your heart, appreciate these moments, and cherish them, like we were discussing with Tricia in this session? I don't know the answer to that question right now. But I know from my own personal experience, I definitely don't connect in as deeply if I'm just shutterbugging away with my phone. So is taking photos with your phone on a regular basis, taking videos constantly, is it a form of disconnection? I would say yes. I have memories from when I was younger, mostly with my travels, where I didn't need a camera. I can recall the smell of the air. I can recall exactly what I was looking at. I can recall the feeling I felt at that moment. One of those moments, I was sitting on a wall, one of the ramparts in Antibes, France, in the south of France, and there was a sunset. And I was right near the marina, so I could see all the sailboats, all the big mega yachts, all of those things. But I could also see the sea and the sunset and all of the colors. And it was warm, and I could smell the breeze, and it was joy that I felt. And that joy anchored in that emotion, anchored in that memory, and etched it in my mind to the point where I can close my eyes and I can be there now, and I can feel it. Can you say that about the last place you took photos of with your phone? If you can't, I will challenge all of you who are listening to this to go do something tomorrow and experience it without your phone. Don't text anybody. Don't take any photos. Just experience it. Feel what you're feeling. Connect with the people you are with and see how that shifts and changes your experience. Now, I'm not here to say that phones are bad or that you're not meant to take photos, because I can guarantee you I'm still going to take photos on my phone. It's just something I like to do. It's that photographer in me. But I am also conscious of the fact that I may be spending too much time experiencing things through my phone. And when I realize that, I put the phone away and I experience and I feel. So that is something that I want you to really connect with, because Tricia's soul purpose is one that is so beautiful. It's not one of those super active soul purposes where she has to do this or she has to do that. It is a soul purpose that is so necessary, and yet it is so simple. And the fact that her soul purpose hasn't really changed or evolved over time, because she has one job to do, and that is to witness, appreciate, and be the observer of what we experience here in this life, what we experience on a soul level as well. Everything in this world deserves appreciation and deserves a witness. Every experience, every person, everything that happens, even the things that are horrible, deserve a witness. And why does something horrible deserve a witness? So it can be recorded as something that is against what our energies are meant to experience. It is that duality that we're meant to experience in order for us to grow. And if it's not witnessed, if it's not experienced, then the growth doesn't happen. So it is important to cherish and revere everything that we experience. Oftentimes, we will push away those things that we don't like, the shadow that we don't like, the things that we did that we don't like. Those are the very things that we need to witness, appreciate, and cherish. I think back on some of the things that I've done in my life, and I've done some cringy things. I've done some things that are super embarrassing. I've done some things where I look back and I say, oh gosh, I can't believe I said that thing, or I can't believe I did that thing. Can't believe I acted that way. That embarrassment. You can go back and witness that experience for yourself and tell yourself that it's okay. Accept and love yourself in spite of all of that. It is a very, very big part of unconditional love. You might ask, how is it that witnessing is a big part of unconditional love? Because you cannot love all of someone or all of something without knowing it fully. You can love parts of somebody, certainly, but if you don't know their shadow, or if you don't know the things that they don't like about themselves, you can't love the whole person yet, because you don't know the whole person yet. And once you are able to know all of those facets, or most of them, we're not always going to know everything about everybody. But if we know most of the shadows and most of the light, and we still decide to show up for these people, for these situations, that is when you know that you've moved into true unconditional love, where you can stick around and be there in spite of those cringy situations, those embarrassing situations. And so when I'm talking about showing up for yourself in that way, showing up for yourself in unconditional love, for everything that you've done, for everything that you've experienced, and everything you will experience. Nobody is perfect. And thank God for that. Thank God nobody's perfect, because our life here would be rather dull, I would say, and there would be not a whole lot of growth. And that's interesting, because that is something that came through in this session as well, is talking about Lemuria and Lemuria stagnating as a society because of the lack of growth, because of the lack of contrast. And that makes a lot of sense. We need the contrast to grow. And that is what we're here to do on this planet. So embrace that contrast. Embrace that grief, that pain, that sadness, and appreciate it for what it's showing you. Because every emotion is showing you something. Every emotion is like a little signal to your body and to your mind. Hey, something's going on here. Pay attention to it. There's a reason why it's showing up for you. I want to talk a little bit about how Tricia had some big emotions before the session even started. And I explained that because these sessions are quantum, that often happens, where I'll have clients talk about how they will feel the shifts and changes even before we do the session. And it's very common. And likewise, I can sometimes feel the energy of the shifts that I'm going to be making for the client before the session. We have to feel this life. It's so, so important to feel this life. So I want you to also ask yourself, where are the places in your life where you are not feeling? Where are you stuffing your emotions? Where are you suppressing your emotions? It's interesting because I've had this discussion with many different friends and people talking about how sometimes the constant taking of photos on your phone or taking videos is a way to regulate emotions if you don't feel safe connecting with others. And that makes a whole lot of sense to me, because it is a way of disconnection. There are so many other ways that we disconnect because we're afraid to confront our own emotions. We will run away from people we love because we cannot handle the emotions that are going on within us. We hurt the people that we love because we cannot process the emotions of hurt that we have within ourselves. One of the things that I feel is important on this journey of ascension is to be able to feel. And I have had a lot of clients who have said to me, I don't know how to feel. I haven't cried in years. I don't know what my heart feels. Think about that. Think about how many people in this world are in the same boat. Maybe you're in the same boat. How do you get to that place where you can start to feel again? Well, the first thing is to be able to get rid of the distractions. Create a space. Create a space for you to feel and express emotion. Now, I'm one of those people where I've always expressed emotion. So I will express emotion pretty much wherever I am. And that can be inconvenient sometimes, especially if some crazy emotion pops up as I'm walking to the metro, which that has happened before, where out of nowhere, I just feel like sobbing and crying and I'm basically in the middle of public, and that's not entirely fun. But not being shamed for doing that, not being shameful for having to express emotion in public or being able to without shaming yourself. So create that sacred space. Create that space for yourself to feel the emotion. And then what I would do is I would connect into your heart space. And if you don't know how to connect to your heart, I want you to start doing it on a regular basis, where you imagine a cord of light at the top of your head and allow that cord of light to dive all the way down into your heart space, directing your attention to your heart and asking your heart, how does it feel? And you might start getting some answers. Maybe you'll get a word. Maybe you'll get a song. Maybe you'll get some actual emotions that come up that you don't know where they're coming from. Then you can sort of explore those emotions. Where are these coming from? Are they old? Are they new? Are they from a conversation you just had, or is it from a childhood wound? Where is it coming from? And once you are able to connect to these wounds or to these feelings of hurt, these emotions, they don't always have to be negative emotions. They can also be happiness. They can be joy. Feeling what those feel like are important as well. And then ask your guidance for the right direction for you to go in to be able to express this emotion and move through it. Ask your angels and guides to give you the tools that you need to move through that emotion, or send you the right people that are going to help you through this emotion. The reason why this is also incredibly important is because that pent-up emotion that we have, that we carry around, that is what causes disease as well. So if you're carrying around emotion or any type of stagnant emotion that has been there for ages, it could be for lifetimes, it could be ancestral, it could be all kinds of things. This is what creates that dis-ease in our body. So I started off this conversation talking about putting down your phones, and it moves into something that is way deeper and much more important for our everyday experience, which is to be able to witness, to experience, and to appreciate. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I look forward to connecting with you in next week's episode. If you're enjoying this podcast, I really would appreciate it if you would give it a like, a thumbs up, wherever you happen to be listening. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can certainly reach me on my website at infinitesoullove.com. You can also reach me on all social media at infinitesoullove1111. That's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Pocket Casts, anything that you use to listen to podcasts, you can find the Akashic recordings. Thank you so much. And don't forget to join us next